everyone to 284 News. My name is Javon Wilson.
I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant.
And we are so thrilled and happy to be coming to you live out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. The content continues via our website, 284media.com.
In today's news, 30-year-old St. Kitts national named as man charged for pulling a firearm on 3 police officers. He was slapped with 7 charges in total.
We also see breaking news on the international scene. Pfizer finally approved by the FDA in the U.S.
And seatbelt offenders tops list of ticketed offences recorded over the past week, with 51 tickets issued and 5 scooters seized.
And in Guyana, students are now being encouraged by the Minister of Health to take the COVID-19 vaccine. We also see the Teachers Union pulling out of ministry activities to protest mandatory vaccination for teachers or biweekly testing.
And BVI's gateway portal among the most difficult and frustrating in comparisons to neighboring countries, where resolution needed urgently. These and more stories after a word from our sponsors.
You value traditions. Today, you value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
A pleasant welcome to one and all. It is Tuesday, a terrific Tuesday here in the British Virgin Islands. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Kamal Haynes, coming to you from the British Virgin Islands. While we start with news, basically an update from last Friday's story, where the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force has named 30-year-old Kittian Randall Hanley as the armed scooter rider who recently pulled a firearm on police officers. Well, this was revealed in the media release on Monday, August 23rd, which said Hanley was charged for 5 offences following his release from the Dr. D. Orlando Smith Hospital. Well, the Parham Town resident was charged with carrying an unlicensed firearm, 3 counts of assault on police, driving without a driver's license, driving an uninsured vehicle, and driving an unlicensed vehicle. Well, he was taken into custody following an armed confrontation with police along the dual carriageway on Thursday, August 19th. Well, according to police, around midday at that said Thursday, officers of the East End Police Station attended the scene of a lone scooter accident near Delta Gas Station, where the rider had sustained visible injuries. While police waited for the arrival of the ambulance, the rider took out a handgun, pointed it at 3 of the officers, and then attempted to escape on foot into the Johnson's Gut area. Well, Hanley was subsequently captured by the armed response team.
All right, viewers, as we move on, customer service touch terminals have now been placed at ports of entry and highly trafficked government offices in an effort to continue to promote exceptional customer relations within the public service. The terminals, which were placed at the Waterfront Jetty and the Terransby International Airport previously, are now at the Immigration Department, the Department of Labor and Workforce Development, Inland Revenue Department, Department of Motor Vehicles, Water and Sewage Department, and the Department of Trade and Consumer Affairs. They will allow for visitors and customers to provide feedback about their service experience and the agency's adherence to the established COVID-19 protocols in real time testing as part of the government's efforts to transform the public service. Now, Deputy Governor Mr. David Archer said that the placement of the terminals represent the government's commitment to ensuring that customer service standards and adherence to COVID-19 protocols continues to be met. He said, and I quote, "As we live, work, and travel in this COVID-19 era, it remains important that the public service, as well as our ports of entry, continue to mitigate the transmission of the virus through adherence to the established guidelines," Deputy Governor David Archer stated. He added, "After meeting with stakeholders from key agencies across the public service and statutory agencies, my team and I have made plans to pave a path towards the enhancement of customer service within our ministries, departments, and ports of entry. And I am pleased that we have arrived at this point in our transformation." End of quote. Now, viewers, the business change manager for improved customer service and private secretary to the Deputy Governor, Mrs. Kedimone Rubain, also said that the placements of the touch terminals in two parts of the entry and highly trafficked government spaces reinforces the government's commitment to enhancing the customer service that is offered by public officers. Ms. Rubain said that the given challenges presented by COVID-19, the provision of effective customer service is paramount to the overall success of government's efforts. Now, viewers, the touch terminals will provide feedback that is uploaded in real time to a central online dashboard for analysis, which allows the government agencies to understand how various factors affect their service levels. The information is accessible by all government departments and allows them to generate reports and, of course, find ways to improve customer service.
And viewers, just before our commercial break, we have one more story from the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, where seatbelt offenders topped the list of persons who were ticketed by the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force over the past week, amounting to 33 of 51 tickets issued. But this was confirmed by a media release from the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force on Monday, August 23rd, which said the road policing and armed response teams were joined this weekend by officers from East and West and the Marine Unit, who issued 51 tickets and seized 5 scooters, where the release said, and I quote, "Of the 51 tickets issued in the last Friday's operation, 33 were for drivers not wearing their seat belts, 5 tickets were for those riding without helmets, and another 8 for driving while using a cellular phone, but 12 other persons were reported for offences ranging from unlicensed vehicle to prohibited tints. One person received a ticket for stopping alongside a vehicle while in traffic," end quote. Well, Acting Sergeant of the Road Policing Unit, Kishon Leslie, says a practice seen often on the roadways is drivers stopping along the side of another vehicle to converse, while he warned that this is a ticketable offence and draws a fine of $100. While the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force Policing Unit Facebook page gives information on road use, road closures, travelling tips, traffic offences, and occupant safety on the territory's roadways. Well, viewers and residents, of course, are asked and urged to log on to the website to get updated with all the relevant road safety laws and protocols. Well, Jovan, I personally would have seen over the weekend and on Friday mostly, after leaving work, we would have seen so many police officers on the road.
Yes, they were everywhere. They usually are not in certain areas, but definitely we saw them in high traffic areas as well as even down Main Street, ensuring that persons are abiding by the protocols and, of course, following all the road rules. So kudos to our officers. We've been asking for heavier police presence and we're getting it. So kudos to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. Now, still ahead, BVI's Gateway portal among the most difficult and frustrating in comparison to neighboring portals. Resolutions needed urgently, says Honorable Mark Vanterpool. And in Guyana, students are now being encouraged to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Also, the Guyana Teachers Union now pulling out of ministry activities to protest mandatory vaccination and biweekly testing. We hear more about these stories when 284 News returns.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome back, viewers. Well, the BVI Gateway Travel Entry Protocol has been described as one of the most complex and frustrating portals for inbound travelers when compared to portals from neighboring countries. Well, this sentiment was shared by member for the 4th District, Mark Vanderpool, during the 11th sitting of the House of Assembly recently. Well, Vanderpool urged the government to fix all the issues being experienced by visitors and residents who oftentimes have to contact individuals personally to get approval, sometimes hours before their trip. Well, the senior opposition legislator said that he too has been in the same position, oftentimes having to contact persons to gain entry into the territory. Well, he shared an experience from a recent visitor who also had difficulties, as he urged the government to get the issue resolved.
To go through the portal, the BVI portal. She had to call several times to somebody here to get it done. She got through, then her husband can't get through. She had to spend an extra day before she could come in St. John. We gotta put the money where our mouth is. And I wouldn't, that portal thing, you know, we got to listen to what the people are saying. I read a blog every day that every one of us is in. We're to talk about this BVI portal, and it's look like some rocket science to get it fixed. I'm not a tech man, so I don't understand it. Everybody saying St. Martin, easy. St. Thomas, easy. Puerto Rico, easy. BVI, if you don't find somebody who know to get in, you can't get in. And they're calling all these names, we've got to call this person and call that person. I can tell you the truth. I know who I have to call to. And the good thing is about those who have called, they're very helpful. But what do you have to do it for? Something wrong with it. Fix it, man. Let's Lord, I must say, man. Let's fix it.
Well, meanwhile, 284 News also spoke to the Minister for Health, Carvin Malone, who, despite not being responsible for the BVI Gateway portal, said his ministry has been working in collaboration with the respective authorities to assist with having the portal issues resolved.
Ministry of Health has been working with the BVI Import Authority and the different persons who are currently administering that, and we're trying our very best to see what could be done to facilitate a easier, based on the comments coming from the users of the portal. It has not gone unnoticed that there are increasing cries for an easier and more user-friendly portal entry, and we will do whatever we could to assist in that. So while we're not quote-unquote responsible, the actual commitment to a good experience, whether by residents or by visitors or tourists or anyone, is a commitment of the entire government and a commitment of health, commitment of Airports Authority, Customs, Immigration, and even you as a citizen, to make sure that the visitor's experience is top-notch. They must not only remember how difficult it was to get here. That should be so easy that it does not become a topic. So we're trying to make it a non-issue, a non-topic, by just having it flow as easily as we could.
Well, that was Minister for Health, Minister Carvin Malone. Well, Javon, we really do hope that this issue is rectified expeditiously.
Absolutely. I know persons have continued to complain about the portal, which seems to be very overwhelmed. And like you mentioned within the details of your story, many persons have had to resort to reaching out to persons individually. I know Miss Lynette Harrigan has been very resourceful in the process, but I'm sure she too is overwhelmed. So we're just really trusting and hoping. Another point to consider within our BVI reentry process is also the cost attached to the application to enter the territory. A lot of tourists in particular have been complaining about the fact that many countries throughout the region does not require a cost to accompany that application. But here we see the BVI, the Premier did say that a lot of that attributes to the administrative costs, and he does hope to have that amount reduced. But up to press time, that's still not the case, Kamal.
Well, you know, he made those comments roughly more than a month ago as it pertains to reducing the fee. That was a $35 fee, and that was before the $50 fee was implemented for the rapid testing. So no persons who are fully vaccinated still obviously have to pay that $85 fee, which could be a little bit too much for some persons who are on their budget.
Absolutely.
So I could totally relate, and I totally understand the plea of persons. And then on top of paying $85 to enter the territory, having to wait where you're unsure of being entered in terms of the approval from the BVI portal, it creates somewhat of anxiety for a lot of persons, and it somewhat discourages a lot of persons, and it have discouraged some persons from traveling to the territory as of recent.
Absolutely, a great deterrent indeed. I personally know of a couple and their children who was vacationing in the USVI, but of course, nothing compares to the BVI. They wanted to come over, but when you calculate the cost of having to pay for those entry protocols, for those that entry cost, then having to also pay for their rapid antigen test to enter into and to exit the territory, it racks up a high, it's a hefty cost. So we're trusting that in due time we can get this resolved as we want to welcome our tourists back to the territory.
Indeed.
As we move on, news in the region, we see coming out of Guyana, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, is now appealing for students between the age of 12 and 18 years old to get vaccinated once the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine arrives in the country in September. This, he explained, will allow for a safer environment for the reopening of schools for face-to-face learning in September. Now, the Health Ministry has advised the Education Ministry that there should be physical distancing, sanitization stations, and students must wear a face mask when schools reopen. While schools will definitely reopen for virtual learning on September 6th, a date is yet to be announced for the physical reopening. Now, viewers, we have a clip of the minister speaking to the situation. Listen in.
Well, we have been working with the Ministry of Education and advising them about the technical things as it relates to reopening. We have had joint meetings between the technical staff here and the staff of the Ministry of Education. And some of the advice that we have given relates to masking. So students returning to school should have their mask on. They should also keep their distance. We also have advised, since vaccines are going to be available, that children going back to school should be fully vaccinated. So that's basically the three main things, and of course sanitization. So you have three non-pharmaceutical methods of keeping people safe: masking, social distancing, and of course sanitizing. And then we want to make sure that people are vaccinated. So once these four elements are in place, I think we can open schools and it would be in a much safer environment.
Now, viewers, the students in question will need parental consent before receiving the Pfizer COVID-19 jab. Now, Dr. Anthony also said the response from parents who were sent consent forms has been going well so far. He said, and I quote, "If we are going to reopen school in a very safe environment and protect children, you will have to get vaccinated, and I am happy that a lot of parents understand that and they are eager to get their child immunized. Parents are responding, and I hope that this trend continues." End of quote. Now, viewers, the government is also working with private schools to ensure that they comply with the COVID-19 guidelines for the reopening of schools and to have children in these schools also vaccinated. Now, the Guyana PAHU World Health Organization representative, Dr. Luis Codina, earlier this month announced that Guyana is expected to receive some 100,000 doses of the U.S.-made Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines in September. Kamal, I know as we pan across the region, there are very different perspectives on how to not just go about handling this pandemic, but particularly as it relates to the vaccine, different approaches. Here we see in Guyana a stricter approach. As much as the minister is encouraging vaccination with the students, he has also maintained later on that it's still not mandatory. But when you think about a situation where students have to return back to school and how conducive that environment is for learning, more than likely, whether we say we're not mandating it or forcibly encouraging it, at some point they will have to take the jab to return to school.
Well, as we all know, there are presently some vaccines that are mandated for children to enter into schools. And I guess as the health experts weigh in terms of the cost of lives and the cost of health risks to the overall majority of the schools, as policymakers, you obviously have to make the harsh decisions,
yes,
that may not favor the population in its entirety, but, probably 5 to 10 years from now, persons may look back and be thanking these officials for the decisions they would have made in this pandemic.
And of course, there are those who are still maintaining that they have a right to choose. However, viewers, we do see here in the BVI, our very own Minister of Education, Dr. the Honorable Natalio D. Wheatley, reassuring educators that the government will be sticking to its word of not making that COVID-19 vaccine compulsory. More news in Guyana, shocking news that is. The Guyana Teachers Union last night announced that it was pulling out of a school assessment exercise unless the Ministry of Education pulls back a directive that warns teachers that they would be marked as absent if they do not take the COVID-19 vaccine or produce a negative test once weekly. The notice said, and I quote, "The Guyana Teachers Union withdraws with immediate effect its participation from the present assessment of schools and all other planned engagements with the Ministry of Education until this release is retracted," end of quote. The Workers' Union organization also stated that it was not opposed to teachers being vaccinated, but they must not be forced into doing so. They continued, and I quote, "Our members have called on us to act now in their best interest. We are not opposed to vaccination, but it must be voluntary," the Guyana Teachers Union said. Now, the Ministry of Education earlier yesterday said that teachers are expected to take a coronavirus vaccine or produce a weekly PCR test from a private laboratory. The Ministry of Education also said that if workers do not attend school, they would be marked as absent. Authorities said those directives also apply to cleaners and administrative staff. Interesting news coming from the region.
Indeed. Well, viewers, up next, the COI hearing set to resume from September 6th. And big news in the world of vaccines, with the FDA approves the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. But these stories after a word from our sponsors.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
Well, viewers, welcome back. Well, the Commission of Inquiry will be recommencing its hearings from Monday, September 6th. Well, this announcement was made by Secretary to the Commission, Stephen Chandler, in a media release published today, Tuesday, August 24th, which said the Commissioner of Inquiry and his team will be returning to the BVI during the coming week. Well, Chandler also said there will be a number of changes to the Commission's previous protocols, which will be amended in light of the present COVID climate in the territory. Well, he said, and I quote, "In light of the continuing COVID restrictions, the Commissioner has issued an amended protocol concerning the provision of written evidence to allow for evidence to be admitted in unsworn form, which can be found on the COI's website," end quote. Well, in addition, Secretary Chandler said a number of audited documents will be published to their website in short order, where he said, and I quote, Further, to publishing reports issued by the Auditor General, which were considered at hearings before the Commissioner, the COI has also, following redaction of personal data, recently published on its website 9 reports issued by the Internal Auditor, which were also considered at earlier hearings, end quote. Well, viewers, these reports include 1. The COVID-19 Stimulus Draft Audit Report and Appendices 1 to 3, 2020, 2. Assistance Grants Program 2006 to 2008, 3. House of Assembly Assistance Grant Program Follow-up Audit Report 2011, the 4th. Government Ministries Assistance Grants Program Draft Audit Report 2014, or the 5th document, Her Majesty's Customs Courier Clearance Operation and Partial Payment Program 2020, the 6th document, Her Majesty's Customs Missing Revenue Suspicion of Fraud Investigations Report 2015, the 7th document, Immigration Board Belonger Application Process 2012, the 8th, Department of Immigration Belonger Application Process Follow-up Audit Report 2014, and the 9th, Petty Contract Administration 2012. Well, in addition, Chandler said the COI also published on its website a response from Governor John Rankin to the BVI's government minister's position statement on governance. Well, viewers, this release comes a week after Speaker of the House, Julian Willock, said that he will be taking the COI's 3 attorneys, Bilal Ruat, Andrew King, and Rhea Harrison, to court in October. Well, Willock said he filed for an injunction to prevent the 3 attorneys from continuing their COI-related duties until a ruling is handed down at the end of the October trial. Well, Jovan, I believe it will be very interesting to see whether the 3 attorneys will resume duties from September 6th when the COI resumes.
Absolutely, especially since an injunction is filed by Honorable Willock. He's hoping to have this discontinued, but we'll see as the updates come. Now, viewers, on the international scene, big news. The U.S. gave full approval to the Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine on Monday, a milestone that may help lift public confidence in the shots as the nation battles the most contagious coronavirus mutant yet. Now, the vaccine made by Pfizer and its partner BioNTech now carries the strongest endorsement from the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, which has never been before, which has never before had so much evidence to judge a shot's safety. More than 200 million Pfizer doses already have been administered in the U.S., and hundreds of millions more worldwide since emergency use began in December. Now, viewers, the acting FDA Commissioner, Janet Woodcock, said, and I quote, "The public can be very confident that this vaccine meets the high standards for safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing quality the FDA requires of an approved product. Today's milestone puts us one step closer to altering the course of this pandemic in the U.S." Now, viewers, the U.S. became the first country to fully approve the shot, according to Pfizer and CEO Albert Bourla. This is what he said in a statement. He hopes that the decision will, and I quote, "help to increase confidence in our vaccine, as the vaccination remains the best tool we have to help protect lives." The FDA, like regulators in Europe and much of the world, initially allowed emergency use of the Pfizer's vaccine based on a study that tracked 44,000 people 16 and older for at least 2 months. Now, the time period when serious side effects typically arise. Now, that's shorter than the average 6 months of safety data normally required for full approval. So Pfizer kept that study going, and the FDA also examined real-world safety evidence in deciding to fully license the vaccine for people 16 and older, those studied the longest. Pfizer's shot still has emergency authorization for 12 to 15-year-olds. Now, even after hundreds of millions of shots, serious side effects such as chest pain and heart inflammation in teens and young adults, which remains exceedingly rare, the FDA said. But as for its effectiveness, the 6-month tracking of Pfizer's original study showed that the vaccine remained 97% protective against severe COVID-19. Protection against milder infection warned slightly from a peak of 96% 2 months after the second dose to 84% by 6 months. Those data came before the extra contagious Delta variant began spreading. But other data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, shows that the vaccine is still doing a very good job preventing severe diseases caused by that mutant. Now, Kamal, I know this is very interesting. No persons in the world over was really looking for an official medical facility to approve one of these vaccines. Here we see Pfizer at the head of that line, and we're trusting that for the persons who are interested in taking the vaccine and who have confidence in it, that this will allow for a speedier process in getting persons across the globe immunized against the virus.
Indeed, I mean, for those persons who had their doubts, you know, as you said, we're looking for an official source to officially give the approval. They now have that approval, and I do believe that, especially in the region, a lot of persons will be coming forward for that Pfizer vaccine. Well, viewers, that's all we have for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com and like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Kamal Haynes.
And my name is Javon Wilson. Goodbye.